Have you ever considered that the words you share, the ones you think are harmless, might one day be used against you? Not by an enemy, not even by someone you feared, but by a smile that listened too closely, a silence that remembered too much. In a world where attention is currency and exposure is a habit, what you reveal can quietly become your greatest vulnerability. The Stoics taught us to guard not just our possessions, but our thoughts, our disclosures, as if they were gates to the soul. Yet today, we trade those gates for validation, unaware that danger often wears the face of familiarity. This isn't about paranoia, it's about precision. And in this video, we'll explore 5 truths you should keep to yourself, not because you're hiding, but because you're aware. Secrets that, if left unspoken, could mean the difference between safety and regret. If you've ever felt like the world is watching more than it listens, you're right. So watch closely, reflect deeply, and if you're someone who values peace, privacy, and power, stick around. There's wisdom here worth keeping. 1. Keep your wealth invisible. When was the last time you saw someone share a photo with their new house keys, standing proudly in front of a freshly painted front door, beaming with joy? A simple caption like, "Finally a homeowner," might seem harmless, just another life milestone celebrated online. But beneath the surface of that moment lies a vulnerability most people never see, because what they've truly shared isn't just joy. Its location, its financial standing. It's a public announcement that says, "I have something valuable now." We live in a world where broadcasting our lives feels normal, where milestones aren't fully real until they've been validated with likes, comments, and congratulations. But here's what almost no one admits. Every detail you put out there becomes part of a story someone else might use against you. A friend of mine, Rachel, learned this the hard way. Single, early 30s. She worked hard, saved, and proudly bought her first home. She shared a few heartfelt photos, the welcome mat, the street number barely visible in the frame. Within 2 months, there were 2 break-in attempts, one while she was out of town, one while she was at work. She didn't live in a bad area. She wasn't showing off. But she had unintentionally declared herself a target, someone with just enough to steal, and perhaps not enough protection to stop it. That's the truth most people ignore. Financial information isn't always verbal. It's visual. It's implied. A post about your new car, a conversation where you mention your salary, your bonus, or that you're finally debt-free. You think you're sharing success, but to the wrong person, you're signaling opportunity, and not everyone who smiles at you is rooting for you. It's easy to assume that danger wears a mask or lurks in the shadows, but often it smiles to your face. It compliments your watch, your shoes, your renovation, while silently calculating your worth. Criminals don't chase billionaires. Why? Because the ultra-wealthy are protected cameras, security systems, legal teams. They're a fortress, but you're visible, you're accessible, you're just safe enough to feel untouchable and just exposed enough to be worth the risk. Here's the trap: we want to be seen. We want to be recognized for how far we've come, but that craving opens a door. We post about the raise while we're still on vacation. We flaunt the new gadget, the home remodel, the luxury purchase, all while forgetting that every boast, every subtle flex, is a breadcrumb for someone watching. And this is where Stoicism steps in. The Stoics didn't broadcast their achievements, not because they weren't proud, but because they understood something deeper. Pride doesn't need an audience. Seneca, Epictetus, Marcus Aurelius. They believed true peace comes not from external applause, but from internal mastery. To the Stoic, privacy isn't secrecy, it's strength. It's choosing clarity over vanity, safety over status. So, what can you do? Be intentional, be deliberate. When someone asks about your income, answer with calm ambiguity. Enough to live simply. If you make a big purchase, wait before you share. If you share at all, celebrate in private. Don't announce what you've earned to those who haven't earned your trust, because once it's out there, you no longer control who sees it or how they'll use it. Treat your financial life like your PIN code sacred, protected, only revealed when absolutely necessary. And even then, ask yourself, why? What do I gain from saying this? Who am I trying to impress? Is it connection or ego? In the end, survival often depends on discernment, on what you choose to reveal and what you wisely choose to guard. Oversharing may feel innocent, but once it leaves your mouth or your fingertips, you've surrendered power. And in a world filled with eyes, known and unknown, the most stoic thing you can do is keep what matters silent. Privacy is power, silence is safety, and discretion, that's your shield. Use it every day. 2. Move quietly. Stay safe. There's a particular kind of fear that doesn't shout. It creeps. It slips into your spine when you realize someone knows exactly where you are and they shouldn't. In our culture of constant connection, that fear is brushed aside, smothered beneath likes, tags, and real-time updates. We post from airports, coffee shops, dinner dates. We announce our getaways, caption our routines, and unknowingly serve up the most precious information we possess, our location. But to someone with intent, malicious, obsessive, or opportunistic, your location isn't just a detail, it's an opening. I remember a story that still haunts me. Her name was Maya, engaged, joyful, and endlessly open online. Her life was a carousel of shared moments. One weekend, her fiancé surprised her with a trip to Lake Tahoe. She documented everything: the road trip playlist, the snowy cabin, the playful caption under a selfie. No cell signal, no problems. But there was a problem. One she couldn't see because it wasn't in the mountains. It was back home. Unbeknownst to her, someone from her past, a man she had cut contact with after a strange and unsettling interaction, had been watching her feed, quietly, persistently, and as she broadcast her joy in real time, he saw something else: an empty apartment in Sacramento. That weekend, her home was broken into, but this wasn't a typical burglary. The locks weren't forced. He went through her closet, her personal drawers. It wasn't what he took, it was what he wanted. Access, control, a twisted intimacy she never offered him. That is the danger we don't talk about enough. Some people don't want your belongings. They want proximity. They want power. And when you announce where you are, you're also revealing where you aren't. This isn't paranoia. This is pattern recognition. Modern danger doesn't always come with a warning. Sometimes it comes in the form of someone you met once at a party, or a faceless follower who's liked every post for months, or a co-worker from 5 years ago who never really said goodbye. Social media doesn't filter for intention. It doesn't protect you from quiet obsession. You do that, or you don't. And the numbers are staggering. Over 78% of modern-day burglars admit to using social media to choose their targets. They no longer need to guess when you'll be gone. You've told them, you've shown them, and it doesn't stop with travel. That morning run at 6 a.m., the yoga class every Wednesday, the late-night walks when the city's asleep. These aren't just habits, they're patterns. Predictable, trackable, dangerous, But let's pause and ask, why do we do it? Why do we feel this compulsion to post while we're still in the moment? The answer, most often, is validation. We want to be seen. We want to feel that we're alive and that someone, somewhere, is witnessing it. But that hunger to be visible can become the very thing that makes us vulnerable. Stoicism teaches us to anchor our energy in what we can control, and nothing is more within your control than your own movements, your privacy, your safety. Marcus Aurelius didn't have Instagram, but he understood the principle: what is valuable does not need to be exposed. The Stoics practiced presence, not performance. They didn't share their lives to be seen. They lived their lives to be centered. You don't need to live in fear. You need to live with intention. There's a powerful calm that comes when you no longer need to announce every step. When you post that vacation after it's over. When you tag the location only after you've left. When you save that joyful moment for yourself instead of offering it to the internet in real time. That's not caution. That's wisdom. So ask yourself, who needs to know where I am right now? And more importantly, who doesn't learn to delay the moment? Learn to share with discernment. Not everything beautiful has to be broadcast. Some things become more sacred when they remain yours alone. Your location is not just a dot on a map. It's your fortress, and the door to that fortress must not swing open for anyone who asks. Because the most dangerous people don't need to break in, they only need to be invited. And when your life is constantly public, you've already left the door wide open. Be vigilant, be disciplined, be silent when it counts. Because privacy isn't fear, privacy is strength. And in today's world, it might be the most stoic act of all. 3. Hide your defenses. Well, in an age where oversharing has become the new normal, your silence may be the last line of defense. Every like, every post, every casual story told at a dinner party seems harmless until it isn't, especially when it comes to your personal security. Because the moment you talk about your alarm system, your safe, your layout, your routines, you're not just speaking to your friends, you're broadcasting to the world. And the world, unfortunately, includes people who were never meant to hear it. It often starts with pride. Someone upgrades their home with smart locks, motion sensors, cameras. They feel empowered, responsible, so they post a photo next to the new keypad with a clever caption, a subtle flex, masked as safety. But what they've actually done is reveal the blueprint of their defense. To someone with bad intentions, that photo isn't reassuring, it's a challenge. They now know what needs to be bypassed. And more dangerously, they believe there's something inside that makes the risk worth it. Now flip the script. Some people go the opposite route. They downplay everything. Nothing worth stealing here. They joke in a group chat. Never needed a security system. It sounds humble, but in reality, they've just painted themselves as easy prey. Criminals don't seek conflict. They seek convenience. And if you tell them your home has no alarm, no dog, no watchful neighbor, what you think is casual conversation becomes their open invitation. I remember Greg, tech-savvy, enthusiastic, just moved into a new home with his wife and daughter. He bought a high-end safe biometric lock, fireproof, bolted to the floor. He was proud of it. And during a discussion in a Facebook home renovation group, he mentioned it, talked about the brand, even the location hidden behind my suits, like a Bond movie. He wasn't bragging, he was excited. But weeks later, while the family was out of town, their home was broken into, the TV untouched, the laptop still on the desk, only the safe was gone. Someone had been listening, watching, Planning. Greg's mistake wasn't the safe, it was the story. He gave away something sacred to an audience that didn't earn it, and he's not alone. We show off our new kitchen and mention casually how the bedrooms are all tucked away at the back. We joke about Grandma's heirloom in the nightstand. We say the gun's under the bed. It feels relatable. It feels human. But what we're actually doing is giving someone a playbook. The Stoics taught that real strength is measured not in what you display, but in what you choose to withhold. Epictetus said, "Be silent for the most part, or if you speak, say only what is necessary, and in few words." That's not just advice for conversations, it's a strategy for survival. A fortress doesn't need to be explained, it needs to be impenetrable, and the strongest walls are those no one sees coming. So, how do you talk about your home without compromising it? You don't unless absolutely necessary. If asked about your security, keep it vague. "I'm covered" is more than enough. If someone asks about valuables, shift the conversation, share the story, not the logistics. Celebrate the remodel, not the floor plan. Learn to separate what feels good to say from what's wise to protect, because once someone knows what you have, how you protect it, and where it's kept you no longer hold the upper hand, you've handed it over. And in a world where attention spreads faster than consequence, that handover could cost you everything. Your home should feel like a sanctuary, not a showcase. So speak less, reveal less, and guard your privacy like it's the lock on your front door, because it is. That, right there, is Stoicism in action. Quiet, intentional, unshakable. 4. Guard your inner wounds. When people talk about safety, they often picture physical threats, locked doors, alarms, pepper spray in a purse. But the most dangerous attacks in life aren't always loud. They don't kick down your front door. They slip in through words, sympathy, false connection, and most terrifying of all, they start with your permission. Because the moment you reveal your vulnerabilities, the moment you speak your wounds in the wrong place, someone might be listening not with care, but with calculation. This kind of threat isn't obvious. It's not someone following you in the dark. It's someone sitting across from you at a dinner table, nodding with interest as you open up, or someone scrolling silently through your online posts, absorbing every detail you offer, and it all feels safe until it isn't. I remember the story of Jordan, a soft-spoken man in his 50s who had recently gone through chemotherapy. He wanted to uplift others. He wanted to inspire. So he shared his journey in a local community group openly, vulnerably, courageously, but not everyone saw courage. Some saw opportunity. Jordan lived alone. He was often groggy from medication. One night, while deep in a medicated sleep, someone entered his home. No confrontation, no noise, just someone who already knew they wouldn't face resistance. Because Jordan had unknowingly laid out the map. That's how it happens. You think you're inspiring, but someone else sees access. When you speak about your health, your fears, your emotional wounds, your past trauma, what you're really doing is showing someone where to aim. And in a world full of people with fractured moral compasses, not everyone who listens is on your side. The desire to be open is deeply human. We crave understanding. We want to feel seen, heard, affirmed, and in the right space with a trusted friend, a therapist, a loved one. Vulnerability can heal, but in the wrong place, at the wrong time, it can become a weapon against you. Oversharing isn't strength, it's exposure. And when the wrong person hears what haunts you, what weakens you, what scares you, what they hear isn't a cry for support. They hear strategy. They see how to control you, manipulate you, get past your defenses. Think of manipulators and predators as emotional tacticians. They don't need to overpower you. They only need to understand you better than you understand them. If you tell someone you're afraid of confrontation, they will test your boundaries quietly. If you share that you live alone and struggle with mobility, they now know you're less likely to defend yourself in a moment of crisis. If you confide that your partner left you feeling unworthy, they know exactly which buttons to press to keep you under their control. And it's not just about you. Sometimes we put others at risk by revealing too much. Maybe you casually mention your elderly parent who lives alone, or your child's predictable after-school routine, or your sibling with a disability home during the day. These aren't harmless facts. They're vulnerability maps, routes someone can follow if they're paying attention. The Stoics had a different model for expression. They weren't devoid of emotion. They weren't cold. They were careful. They knew that disclosure without discernment leads to danger. As Crates taught, the wise man will speak with restraint and confess only to those suited to hear it. Not every listener is worthy of your truth. Not every moment requires your full story. The Stoic lives with clarity, not secrecy, but they know when silence is a shield, not a prison. True strength, as the Stoics saw it, wasn't in being open to all. It was in being precise, choosing who gets access to the inner citadel, choosing when to speak, and more importantly, when not to. To live stoically is to realize that protecting yourself isn't weakness. It's wisdom. It's choosing long-term peace over short-term validation. You don't need to explain your grief to strangers. You don't need to justify your pain to people who haven't earned your trust. You don't need to hand out your inner life like samples in a marketplace. So here's the rule: when you feel the urge to share something personal, pause, ask why. Is it for connection or recognition? Is this person safe or just present? Are you being honest or are you being exposed? Healing doesn't require an audience. Clarity doesn't require confession. You can be strong without being known. You can be open without being vulnerable. And you can carry your story with grace without making it public property. Because at the end of the day, your greatest armor isn't how loudly you speak or how openly you share. It's what you choose to protect. And sometimes, silence isn't avoidance, it's mastery. So, guard your stories, guard your wounds, guard the people you love. Speak wisely, speak rarely, and remember your deepest power lives not in how much you reveal, but in how carefully you hold what matters most. 5. Protect your digital identity. In today's world, it's no longer brute force that threatens your safety. It's the quiet overshare, the casual details, the innocent memories posted without a second thought. We've been conditioned to believe that sharing equals authenticity and connection. But in the wrong hands, those fragments of your life can be weaponized into a blueprint for identity theft, and it often begins with something that doesn't feel risky at all. Think about it. That post about your childhood dog, the comment you left about your mother's maiden name during a genealogy thread, a nostalgic joke about the street you grew up on, seemingly harmless, even sweet, but to someone with intent, they're not memories, they're puzzle pieces. And the more of them you drop online, the clearer the picture becomes. Not a picture of your life, but a profile someone else can steal, mimic, and use to unlock the most sensitive parts of your digital existence. Take Melissa, for example, a bright, savvy teacher who enjoyed doing About Me quizzes on her Instagram stories. She shared her favorite band, the name of her first pet, her hometown, even her high school's name in a throwback graduation photo. Without realizing it, she just answered nearly every standard security question tied to her bank, email, and online accounts. Within days, her inbox was flooded with suspicious activity, password resets, bank alerts, locked out accounts. The damage wasn't instant. It was cumulative, built one detail at a time, not by a hacker in a hoodie, but by a world she thought was simply listening. That's how identity theft works today. It doesn't need force, it needs fragments. Your birthday from a story, your brother's name from a tag, your graduating year from a yearbook post. Alone, these don't seem like much, but together, they can reconstruct your age, family network, even your partial social security number. Once someone knows where you bank or shop, they mirror those platforms and bait you with perfect-looking emails. And because you've already handed them your digital DNA, you're easy to fool. This is where Stoic philosophy offers more than wisdom. It offers protection. Marcus Aurelius once said, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." In our modern context, that becomes, if it is not necessary, do not post it. Stoicism teaches us to practice restraint, to master our impulses, to choose awareness over vanity. The discipline of silence isn't just philosophical, it's a shield. Living stoically online means treating your data the way you treat your physical body, with boundaries, with discretion, with respect. You don't owe the internet your full backstory. You don't need to prove anything through nostalgic anecdotes or fun quizzes that mask deep security questions. You can live fully, joyfully, without giving the world the tools to impersonate you. So here's what you can do. Use fake answers for security questions. Answers only you would know. Never post about the apps or banks you use. Audit your social media accounts. Delete old content that no longer serves a purpose. Tighten your privacy settings. Make it hard for strangers to build a version of you never gave them permission to create. You lock your front door every night without being told. Your digital life deserves the same caution. Melissa didn't get hacked because she was careless. She got hacked because she believed a system that celebrates oversharing. But we can reject that system. We can build something better, quieter, sharper, more intentional. Because in a world where attention is currency and information is power, silence isn't just safe, it's stoic. If you've watched this far, then you understand protection begins with intention. These 5 truths aren't fear-based, they're clarity. If this spoke to something deep in you, tap subscribe and walk this path with me. In the comments, write, "Stay discreet." You're not powerless, you're simply learning to move wiser, and the next step, it's already waiting.